We are here today for our bite-sized learning webinar called AI Engagement Lab, Turning Students into Fans. I'm Dr. Kelly Irwin. I am the president-elect and also professional development co-chair for TxDLA. In my paid job, I work for Learning.com as the director of enablement and education solutions. So really excited to be here to host today's session. Unfortunately, my partner in crime, Dr. Rhonda Blackburn, is not able to join us today, but she has a really good reason for not being able to join us. She has gone back into the classroom, which is really exciting for her. She is our current Chief Information Officer here at TxDLA, and then, as I said, she co-chairs the professional development group with me. You are attending a bite-sized learning webinar. This is our free webinar series that we do monthly. All of our TxDLA constituents are always invited, and then we post it on socials. So anybody can join us to learn a little bit more. You can find more information about the bite-sized learning webinars on the TxDLA website. So it's txdla.org. We'll talk more about that later and all of the wonderful things you can get with your membership with TxDLA. But this is a quick snapshot of where you can go find our bite-sized learning information under the Learn button. And we always try to, when we start these sessions, let you know which one we have going on today and then what our next one is. So we're excited to do, again, AI Engagement Lab today. And then in October on the 8th, we'll be talking about promoting learner agency through accessibility in UDL. So make sure you go to that TxDLA website, click on Learn, look for the bite-sized learning webinars, and you can go in and get registered. These are always at 12 o'clock Central. So we look forward to you joining us for more and more Lunch and Learns. Our next event that we have coming up that is more conference style of a learning event as opposed to a webinar is our Fall Leadership Workshop. We're really excited to be hosting that in South Padre this year. In just a couple of weeks, actually. So you can find more information about the leadership workshop as well as get registered for it on our website. We have our full conference that happens in person and virtually. Once the year rolls over for us, it'll be March 23rd through 26th in Galveston for the in-person event. And then our virtual event is in April. That information is also on the txdla.org website under conference. We'd love to have you guys join us for the conference itself. But we'd also love to have you submit a proposal to present for one of the sessions at either or both in person or virtual. And those call for proposals you can also find on the TxDLA website under conference, and that's open until October 1st. So again, I'll just do a quick reminder. Our constituents include K-12, higher ed, government, nonprofit, corporate, really anybody that's tied to any type of digital learning. So if you have an idea to share, definitely fill out our call for proposals. A little bit of housekeeping. Most of us have been on Zoom or another tool that is very similar. We do record all of our sessions and then host them so that you can see them again later. As I mentioned earlier, our chat feature is open and available, so definitely be sure to put your questions and chatter in there as we go. We do ask that everybody stays on mute during this session unless the presenter specifically asks you to come off of mute, just so that we don't have any background noise that interrupts as we're going. And now, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with our session today. It's AI Engagement Lab, Turning Students into Fans. Our presenter today is Brad Denison from the College of the Mainland, and I'll let him do his real introduction once he gets started. And so, Brad, I will go ahead and pass it off to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you all for attending today. This is something I hope that is going to be a lot of fun for everybody attending. I had a structure in place built around this idea of how to use AI to help you make your content more interesting, more engaging. And then last week, my team here at the college finished up our new AV studio with a really wonderful contraption that made me go, I want to change everything I'm doing and do a game show environment in the middle all of a sudden. I also got really excited when I realized I could lower it enough to sit and actually stay still where I've framed myself. So my name again, it is Bradley Denison, Director of Educational Technology Services here at College of the Mainland. Before I got into higher education, I just knew I was going to be making it big in the broadcast world. And then I realized I was going to have to wait on a whole lot of people to retire before that was a possibility. And next thing I knew, I was doing AV at College of the Mainland, and they just keep moving me up for I don't know why. But in this department, I am over distance education and audio visual here on campus. And I am absolutely passionate about engagement, whether it's how we get our students in the door and registered, or how it's keeping them entertained in our classes, whether face to face or online. That's where I'm at. That is my bread and butter, and I follow it from well, just a history of broadcast and using what I learned there to really better engage with students. And I really have a belief that at College of the Mainland, we're going to start building higher education influencers. I want them to find ways to create this content that they can share with their students that then maybe they can put on YouTube and get 0.0001 cents a click, right? And I was going to start this session and I was going to go into talking about student engagement research, right? Active learning beats lectures. We can talk about purpose and relevance and drive-by when you're talking about purpose-guided education. We can talk about inclusive scaffolding and how chunking content and the choice of the tone and everything else that goes into that matters regarding student retention. But that is more academic, that's more straightforward, and I like to be big and bombastic and have a good time. And so what I want to do first is I want to talk about just what this faculty pain point is if you've like never touched AI. We want you to start small. And by starting small, I'm going to show y'all my GPT instance that I've been using since they let me get in on a demo account. So it's been a lot of years, and mine has been getting a lot of information fed to it. And so in this instance, what I want to show is what is my primary writing style? And this is something that you can teach it in one day, in 1 hour, or in 5 minutes. It really is just a matter of how easily you have your writing content on hand. But if I ask my trained AI, what is my primary writing style? And I mean, for those of y'all that don't know me, you're just like, oh, okay, this is probably just a generic response, but we're talking about professional with an accessible edge, conversational and relatable, storytelling as a teaching tool. So this is kind of its general understanding of my professional conversational writing style. A lot of that was done by feeding it papers that I've written for my master's degree way back when, all the way up to perspectives that I've done here at College of the Mainland, giving it more information to learn more about my writing style. And then it became, well, what if I needed to be more professional, more succinct? What if I'm writing to administration and they want just those bullet points? Well, by now, I can just ask it to do another version of that into a condensed, easier to read version, TLDR, too long didn't read, for our bosses who have a little less time, for example. But what if we converted it to an email? And we're still just talking about my writing style. But here's where things get kind of like interesting. Once you've started to train it by giving it your content, whether you're giving it physical, the digital files, whether you're just copying and pasting examples for it to learn and retain, what becomes fun is like in that moment where you're passionately responding to a colleague and you have a very big disagreement with them, and your email comes off starting out kind of angry. Well, I would then now go to my GPT, give it that angry email, and ask it for a more humble version. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to work out with a very boring email that we just came up with, but it changes that tone entirely. And so if you have something casual, if you do a casual voice to text memo and you want to get that turned over into a professional email that you could send out to your peers, maybe you have a tendency, like some of us, to be a little long-winded at times. You might put down too much content on paper. Well, GPT is really good at helping you copy edit that content. It's helping you remove a redundancy or just simply turning your content into a concise, easy digest paragraph. Kelly's question about how long did it take me to create my trained AI? That's actually a fun question. So I had originally created accounts with GPT using my college in the mainland set up a little bit after the pandemic. And so for years, as it started as its infancy, there was a lot more work that you put into training it. You had specific areas that you could go into the system and give it additional instructions. And I'm going to touch base on that in GPT because it is, in my opinion, the more advanced the advanced Gen AI for giving it instructions like this. But most recently, what I did was actually canceled my old account and created a new account using my personal email. The reason this is relevant is because I actually went to the first instance of my GPT and asked it to export prompts based on our 4 years of interaction. And so by working with my I was able to build new AI prompts to train a new AI on my writing styles. And that was like that. It literally now with GPT-5 and things like Claude and the newer versions of all of those, now they're starting to do their own internal memory. So you could just start a generic chat and be like, hey, this is a example of my professional writing style. Whether you attach the file or whether you copy and paste it in, right? Yes, absolutely good advice on a new account that has a blank slate. And you can actually in a lot of these now, not so much so with Copilot, you can go into the history of your account and change everything that's related to it. So I'm going to move away from my well-trained robot. And we're going to go to Copilot. Copilot is running on the GPT platform, but it is not always as up to date as the current versions are at the actual GPT site. So that's just talking about taking a micro example, taking a simple engagement point of an email, of a chat message, of a Teams group discussion, right? That's how you can do it to change and work with your tone. You don't always have to rework all of your writing if in time you're basically training your personal assistant on your voice and giving them very specific instructions on something very simple like this. Like, hey, here's my email. Make it much nicer for me. 100%. So let's get transitioned into what I'm just going to call an AI improv game. Now, this is going to be audience participation in the chat. As we move forward, we're going to add more and more layers to this, and I may need you to on the microphone to help verify the knowledge. I am going to start with a basic example that I worked on with some of our biology instructors last week. And it has two things I'm not an expert on, biology and K-pop. So let's see how this goes. So first things first, I'm going to our Copilot here at College of the Mainland. We're an Office 365 institution, so it's something that all of our users have access to. And at the most basic, what I'm going to do is start this whole session. And again, 2 years ago, you would have to have probably given it about 3 or 4 more sentences for it to get the point. But as people get better at prompting and as you learn more about prompting with the robots, you're going to get more and more concise as well. So we're going to start with you are, typo, an expert in microbiology teaching for non-science majors. And this is just me again setting the stage. A lot of other takes on this style of prompting, it would be telling it that it is an expert in something. So let's just say you were having problems with your TV at home. You could tell the AI that you're an expert in the field of Sony TVs and I need help with the instructions. We're just taking this a step up from there. We're moving it into a little more complex territory where hopefully you are the subject matter expert and your AI is the assistant. So now I want to focus in. Let's do white blood cells. Let's start. Then I'm going to get a little internet with you. TLDR, too long, didn't read version. and a longer explain like I'm five version. So we're not doing anything too groundbreaking right now. We've just set the stage that we've told it what it's an expert in, we've told it what it's teaching. Now we're narrowing it down into something simple, and hopefully somebody in here is a bio person, but otherwise I'll just hope it does exactly what it did last week. Very short version, coming out with possibly even a simple introduction overview for an LMS shell. Explain like I'm five is where you get into more detail, get into specific parts and functions of the white blood cells. And then I asked my wonderful biology instructors for something pop culture that was on their mind, and they both have children that are watching K-pop Demon Hunters. So I'm going to ask it now frame with the use of Netflix movie sensation K-pop Demon Hunters. Please excuse my not using capitalization. And I love how it does now. It tells you what it's searching for, what it's doing. Anybody in here want to speak up for watching the movie? I haven't watched it yet, so I'm kind of still a bit lost. But
No, it's correct.
again,
Sorry, I have not considered into it. Well, I like it too, so I enjoy it too because
yeah, down for it. And so if we keep looking, it's taken the characters, their personalities, their roles in the movie, and it's tried its best to associate it with those things we looked at for the basic instructions around a white blood cell. I'm going to go with that's probably the bad guys. And so that makes sense in that role for me. So from here, it becomes a, well, what can you do with it? What would you do to frame them in your classroom when it was live, right? You could get it to, and this is where it gets into more complex using the artificial intelligence to actually create slides or create images or create what you need. But then it's also just a simple narrative. It's a different way to frame the story, the information, the content. We're just trying to find a new way to make it interesting to the students. Kelly, no, because it changes so quickly now. A prompt template that I use, all of my prompt templates are years old at this point, and at least a page long in a text file documentation. Because the services have become more intertwined with how they look at past conversations, past interactions, the number one thing right now is to be working with it like it's an assistant. Treat it like it's a ghostwriter. Treat it like it's your copy editor. If you treat it like a non-critical thinking assistant, so an intern, I don't know, you're probably going to be doing really well. So let's just do a new chat. And I need somebody that's confident in their knowledge and their field of expertise. In the chat, just let me know if you want to, what your field is, and we'll start there. Oh, somebody's got to be an expert in something, hopefully. State statutes. Why not? Okay. You know all about state statutes. We want to talk about the Houston-based artists that did the giant Sam Houston statue. That's not even a prompt. That's just me like word brain typing and typos and all. So in this case, hopefully, if somebody's wanting to do this route, they actually know the history of David Adkes. I only know because I've seen him on the news a couple times. So then the question is, this could be an art class, right? We could use this as an art lesson. So what's something pop culture-y, newsy, modern events related that we could tie to it? How do we make talking about the history of these statues interesting. I was not prepared to make statues interesting. I do apologize for that.
Why don't we ask the AI how to make it?
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah, we are literally at a point where you can ask AI how to work better with AI. That is not a joke. See, now it's went more into lesson planning, which is actually kind of interesting too. Absolutely. I will very often use Copilot as my more boring informational content, and I will use the GPT platform as the more exciting content field. And the number of times that I use one to try and talk better than the other is incredibly high. And Dean Snyder, 100%, sir, you always have to check that content that's coming out of the AI. And that's really the big push. If we talk about that TxDLA outcome that they had on the listing for this, ethical guardrails, and this is for you, this is for teaching your students how to use it. It's all about reviewing what you're sending. Don't be that lawyer that submitted papers to the judge that was obviously AI generated and got him into big trouble, right? So let's, ooh, you are a math teacher introducing a FOIL method. Let's use Oscar the Grouch to describe the process. This is another take, another idea. This is actually given an entire script for doing animations, it looks like. And so as you work with the AI, you're going to get maybe not exactly what you want, and so you want to tweak it. So let's start at the lesson planning level and frame the content first. I'm actually kind of impressed. I haven't trained it at all on doing lesson objectives in Office 3 or in 365 Copilot. So I'm actually happy with this. With the basic knowledge of introductory algebra math, I guess. Now let's say we were going to turn this into 2-minute read. Now I'll turn this into a narrative, a 2-minute read for students from Oscar's POV. And my assumption is that it's going to be a script that could be shared via LMS or email or something else for funsies. It's thinking. Get that. Kelly, Notebook LM is more for project management on my side of it. So, for instance, I use it a lot for my blog writing. I use it a lot for collecting information, research articles. So that one I think is more specialized because it is enclosed and doesn't go to pull things from the outside world. It only takes from what you give it. What happened to my window? I kind of figured you were being unresponsive. The failures of technology. Well, while that's thinking, to show some more examples of what that basic idea is taking the content and just turning it into something novel, something interesting. I do a lot of blog sharing with our faculty here at the college. Um, Again, when I talk about creating engaging content, that is what I am passionate about. But to show you all some of the things I've done with less than interesting information, this blog actually outlined, talking about knowing information, and I could have just presented it as boring, read through it, bullet point, and bullet point content. But instead, I thought it would be really fun if Walter White from the Breaking Bad TV show somehow went back to teaching, and he had to learn all about online learning. He had to learn about instructional design. He had to learn about best practices for an LMS. And so I gave it the bullet points, the content, the information, the dry writing, and I asked it to put it into Walter White's voice. This was good because I was familiar with the show. And then all I had to do was go back through, check for hallucinations, check for any errant information, any bad links that it might have tried to find, right? So this was just a fun idea. And another take that was done, this one was after the Walter White Breaking Bad habits, and so it doesn't have that introduction of it, and hopefully it didn't need to be telling the reader that this was just a farce or satire. But this was, how can we start talking about ethics and education around artificial intelligence? I don't know why the Terminator came to mind, but this is all about a Terminator Teacher 1000 that's coming back in time to do good things this time. Right, so that's some examples when we talk about using AI to reframe your content. Wow. Exit. Well, we lost it. That's okay. And then it's not just limited to written text. I have a really bad habit of coming up with a video idea for my team and then asking them to run with it. I also have a really bad habit of enjoying really bad puns, so apologies if you see some quackademic jokes in here. But I do want to show you this is another idea where our IT team came to us with a need to converse or to get an idea out in a short, simple video message. And so I told my team, hey, can we do like a 1980s infomercial vibe? Volume up. You get the idea. So we even used it to write the script in this case. And we said that we have roughly 30 seconds of time to fill. We said that this is the content. We had worked with IT for what they wanted to communicate. And so that was given to the GPT, I believe is who they used on that one. And so it's just giving them so much information, right? And trying to get that creative, what's going to make this stick? What's going to be that hook that gets students actually paying attention? We do things when you get to the video level or you're, in classroom level. This was one where we wanted the students to encourage them to use our College of the Mainland email. And so we worked it to do a script in the style of a murder podcast. And then we used AI to do a murder podcast sounding voiceover that was kind of intimidating. And so it almost is like, what did one student say? They were scared to turn the video off. And so that was another way to capture them and stick them to the content. It's not that interesting of a video, but
Hey, Brad, I'm going to interrupt you for 2 seconds.
yeah.
The audio is not coming through this
Still
time.
not.
It did earlier, but I don't,
Yeah. Let's
I mean, we
try.
tested it earlier.
Yeah, that's an easy fix. Let's oop. And try it now. So I should have gone away.
Yes, you did. You vanished. Okay, there it goes.
Yeah.
Still
So to
wallowing
backtrack,
through the iDrive?
80s
Tired of the
infomercial.
file fetching frenzy? Introducing ComSync, your brand new SharePoint intranet, packed with news.
Some of these
resources,
graphics were done with
everything
AI. Like the team is getting amazingly good at it. But again, this was done just in a scripting. Same with the safe send idea that I was talking about, the podcast idea.
Inbox, it's your digital shield. All students and faculty receive a unique username that is paired with the school's secure email domain at com.edu.
We wanted it to have
Using
that
your
vibe
assigned school
of,
email gives you
you're
extra
tuning into your
protection.
favorite murder mystery.
Personal email.
All about the user. And then this was an example we've used. We're starting to work with our more faculty if they have a need to record something. We're working with them to generate scripts. And so this was one where we worked with our science faculty to create information specifically for their students. They worked with the team. The team is not an expert on Pearson Access. They're the expert on creating the content. And so between the two, they were able to come up with a 6-minute script and a general framing of how to do all the screenshots and everything that they needed. That way our faculty member could go in, follow along with those instructions and capture what the team needed to make this final product, right? And so that's getting into really, really advanced levels of like where we're at with using AI. But it's not just these small like one-offs or just using it to change the tone, where we're starting to get to the level of where we can incorporate it into the workflow with our end users on campus, which is fun. So let's try this one more time. Dean, good old friend Dean upstairs. Dean, you're going to be my business computer applications. Intro to computers. Described to college students using NBC's The Office. I have no idea what's going to happen. I went enter to computers, not software. And so that's where it is. It's you're needing to give it more information. If it doesn't give you the results that you're looking for, you're probably not getting the information into it that it wants.
Brad, I think we still see the video screen and not.
Me and Zoom don't get along, huh? Thank you, Dean. Back to there. There we go. So we'll just start over. So you are teaching intro to live typing is where I got the most errors. You're teaching intro to computers with a focus on Office 365. Oh. And so accidentally hit enter too soon. You can see that it used its smarts to try and figure out what I was going to finish typing. So let's focus on main software taught to students. Frame each as a character from NBC's The Office. I was not expecting this. So it's actually trying to say that they're like more personalities like the characters. So what is the tool going to be used for? I like that. Microsoft Teams, it takes the chatty character, the social one, the one that's going to be in your business all the time, always online. OneDrive, Jim Halpert, I don't know. See, this is where I would probably start tweaking it and arguing with what I think my opinion is based on the TV show. And that leads us into kind of the more dangerous danger territory when we start getting creative is we don't want to accidentally alienate our students. And so it becomes a matter of just focusing in on what is your topic, what is your content, what do you need to do, and then trying not to narrow into something that's an interest that's so specific that only one of your students is going to be about it. And if it's a broader concept, you might have to introduce it like I did with the Breaking Bad article and just say, hey, I started with pretty plain content. I tried to make this into something more engaging, more interesting that our end users would want to read and invest some time into. All right, let's try one more time because I do need help from y'all. My brain is not working on coming up with examples. So let's go with explaining a subject using a pop culture analogy. Anybody got any fun ideas that might work? Life cycle, cell life cycle. In just a case. Teaching biology for non-science majors. Lesson plan over cell life cycle using Star Trek. And with my typo, it's still going to be fine, I think, yeah. So yeah, as we see, it's even come up with a title for it, explaining the final frontier of the cell. It's kind of laid out your learning objectives that you would want to come back and probably tweak based on what's going on in your institution. Gets into the materials for what you're putting together content. Oh, it jumped to the bottom. Oh, it even gives you ways to frame it for in class. So how to introduce it. Starts talking about finding a short clip, probably go to YouTube, right? Uh, and then it's related to what steps need to be going into space. Relate TSS Korean boy band and TSS Korean. Oh, okay. Yes, Kelly, absolutely. It's helpful. So let's go and finish through this. Interphase, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase. Maybe this is going to need a lot of work from a Star Trek expert. I don't know. BTS, I was like, is there another one I don't know? You are an economics instructor at a uni. Use the BTS Korean boy band and its effect on South Korea's economy to explain micro or macroeconomics. I don't know. Let's go micro. That's classes from over 20 years ago, so forgive me. Oh, you answered me and I was too quick. Using BTS as a case study to teach microeconomics is a brilliant way to engage students. Same idea. It starts to build out that lesson plan because it started to learn a pattern. It started to learn kind of what I'm working with it on. That's why I wanted to use my Copilot instance because I don't have it as trained as the other. So again, we're talking about learning objectives, materials you'll need. I like that. It's like even starts kind of helping you build out the presentation. Now, same, but for macro. Uh-oh. Not again. This doesn't make me feel better about Copilot. So what should have happened before we got to yet again a page unresponsive, we would have just asked it to do the same. Ah, there we go, patience. Oh, I'm running out of it though. So what I want to do is just hit that little enter button and it would do the exact same thing for us. It would just reassociate it to macroeconomics versus microeconomics. And then we would hopefully show to Caroline and she would tell me that, yeah, that looks about right for economics. I'm assuming you're an economics instructor because of your suggestion. But I'm gonna abandon ship, aren't I? Back to starting from scratch. We're gonna test out the memory of Copilot. We're gonna see Okay, I'll search for the BTS impact on South Korean economy. So it did have to start over on a new thread, unfortunate. So it's refreshing itself. And so what I would do next is review my information, and then in this case, ask it to start working on a lesson plan with me. That was a good one. That's a really, I like that for economics. And I feel like I've read an article or two recently about how much they contribute. I'm going to take that as it looks like it's got some good information then, Caroline. Let's see. Other things that I have had a lot of good fun trying to do is giving it old content and asking it to frame it as if it was written by Shakespeare, or giving it Shakespeare and asking it to update it to a modern rap style or haiku, right? It's kind of sharing work via Copilot. Um, I'm only good with Copilot in our closed environment of Office 365 at College of the Mainland. I have not come across link sharing in this platform. Do keep in mind with GPT link sharing, you are technically giving them a window into your instance of the LLM. So do be cautious when you're sharing your links from these GPTs and others until it's a little more common technology use-wise, because people will find ways to be nefarious. PSA time, the more you know. I'm happy to switch into question and answer mode. I'm happy to do more silly prompts. Yeah, I am big fan of this technology. I'm a big fan of the idea of what it can do for those of us that maybe are a little less uh, good at following through on being creative. You know, if you can come up with an idea now, you've got a way to help you frame it in a way that works. And so that's a big part of just using AI. Start to learn how it interacts with you. You know, treat it like it's a student that doesn't know anything when you get started, and your goal is to get it to the level of being a talented assistant for you in the digital format. Mine that I've, again, I've technically been working with it for years. The new instance is less than 6 months old, but it still takes work. It still takes some tweaking, especially if they run an update. An update can change some of those familiar interactions, and so you may have to relearn a small part of it. But that's just at the base of your scaffolding, hopefully. And so you pull it out, you twist it a little bit, you put it back in, and you're still going to be able to use your knowledge and what you've learned regarding interacting with AI and LLMs. Create a document with the content, but make sure you check the document. Oh, yeah, if I do not like relying on any of them yet for creating documentation unless they are a specific platform. By that, what I mean is, say, Canva, the graphic arts cloud software, makes flyers and other stuff. That one is geared towards making PowerPoints, whereas GPT Copilot, I would not trust them to create PPTs yet. Yeah, exactly. I get it to create that content, and then I'm inserting it into my document. And that way I'm in control of it. Another example that if we had more time, I know that I said I'd give Kelly the end of this. We did manage to go almost to 12:50. Something I'm using LLM for right now a lot is I'm back in the teaching environment. I'm teaching online. I'm having a great time, but I want my content to be uniform. And going in and doing all the HTML tweaking can take more time than I want to put into it. And so I'm spending time now training my GPT instance, what my HTML style is, what my coloring is in the course, how it breaks down headers. It can help me insert accordion breakdowns in there, right? So I've built a blank HTML template that it then converts down to CSS for the D12 LMS, right? And so that is so much work right now that I'm putting in that is going to pay off dividends down the road. So it's get in there, start with the simple things, change that angry email into a supportive, humble, I understand where you're coming from, right? Start small. Oh, thanks, Kelly. But if there's any questions, I'm happy to do. I've got contact information out there. I love brainstorming about more ways to do these things. TxDLA has me doing the DE Discussions podcast. So if you're passionate about something AI and you want to talk to me about that, please reach out to me. I love just geeking out with fellow nerds and geeks and such. So that is not derogatory anymore, y'all. We're taking that back. So yeah, no, please reach out to me if you got questions about this or you're interested in future conversations. Yeah, no, thank y'all TxDLA for the opportunity to do this, and hopefully you ask me to come back.
Yeah, this was fantastic, Brad. Appreciate you taking the time to share with us today. Great examples. I'm excited to go back and play. You sparked some ideas, which is always, kind of half the point of these webinars, right? We learn something, we spark ideas, and we enjoy, and we are off and running. So thank you again. Brad, if you want to drop, if you're comfortable with it, feel free to drop your contact information in if people want to reach out. This has been fantastic. So thank you. Again, quick reminder, txdla.org. You can get information about the upcoming bite-sized learning webinars under the Learn section. You can learn more about our conference under Conference. And if you want to learn more about our leadership workshop, look under Calendar. So all of that information is found there. I would be remiss if we did not say thank you to all of our sponsors. All of the webinars that we do, our conferences, in-person, virtual, our leadership workshop, all of that is possible because of our partners. So I don't know if any of them are on the webinar today, but thank you nonetheless. Again, reminder of the dates for our TxDLA Fall Leadership Workshop. That'll be October 15th through 17th in South Padre, so it's right around the corner, but definitely check out the information on the website and get registered to join us. And then the next event we have that is sort of a big event is our conference, as I mentioned at the beginning, March 23rd through 26th in Galveston. Our call for proposals is open for the in-person and for the virtual that's in April, all at the same time. For proposals are set to end October 1st. And again, you can find that information on the TxDLA website. We are always looking for exciting and interesting and innovative sessions for the conference. Joining TxDLA holds great value. I think I have been a member since, I probably shouldn't even say the year, but truly since about 2008 when I first started working in the virtual school at Pasadena ISD, and have been a member ever since and have grown with the community. It is a fantastic group of people to learn from, to share with, to communicate with. It's $50 a year. If you sign up for a conference, that $50 registration piece for becoming a member is included in that registration fee. Again, you can get more information at txdla.org/membership, and you can get signed up there as well. Follow us on all of the regular socials. We're out there and we're always posting all sorts of information. We do also post our bite-sized learning webinars on social, so you can find them there if you happen to forget to go look at the website at txdla.org. We do also have a journal. I didn't put a slide in here about the journal, but we do have a journal as well, and you can find information about the journal on the website. If you're interested in writing articles or submitting information, please check that out as well. And that's it for today. Thank you all so much for joining us for today's session. Again, go to the website, check out the session for next month, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.